The massive vessel appeared without warning, materializing above Shanghai in a flash of purple light that temporarily blinded millions. Its obsidian surface seemed to absorb both light and hope, stretching 20 kilometers from stern to bow. Within hours, every major observatory and military installation on Earth tracked 12 smaller ships emerging from the behemoth, each taking position above major population centers. For 72 hours they waited. The world held its breath. Stock markets froze, governments convened emergency sessions, and military forces worldwide remained at their highest alert status. But the vessels simply hung there, silent sentinels against the sky. Director Sarah Chen stood at the window of the United Earth Defense Council chamber, her dark eyes fixed on the ship looming over the Shanghai skyline. 20 years leading the Global Quantum Research Initiative hadn't prepared her for this moment. Behind her, representatives from Earth's unified government waited in tense silence. The air shimmered, and 3 figures appeared in the center of the chamber. They stood 3 meters tall, their bodies encased in what appeared to be living metal that shifted and flowed like quicksilver. The central figure's covering displayed complex patterns that pulsed with internal light. "We are the voice of the hegemony," it announced, the words bypassing their ears and appearing directly in their minds. "We bring greetings from the 10,000 worlds under our protection." Sarah turned slowly, her hands steady despite the gravity of the moment. "Earth welcomes the hegemony's representatives," she said, her voice clear and diplomatic. The alien's head tilted at an impossible angle. "You misunderstand, Director Chen. This is not a diplomatic exchange between equals. The hegemony has observed your world for the past century. You have achieved quantum manipulation, begun to understand dimensional physics, and shown potential for further advancement." The being's metallic surface rippled. "According to hegemony law, this qualifies Earth as a Category 3 civilization. All such civilizations must be integrated." Murmurs of concern filled the chamber. Sarah maintained her composure, though her mind raced with implications. "Integrated?" she asked carefully. A hologram materialized in the chamber's center, displaying images of planets, space stations, and vast fleets. "The hegemony brings order to chaos, structure to potential, purpose to progress. Your world will submit its quantum research, transfer control of its military assets, and accept hegemony guidance in all future technological development. In return, you receive our protection." "Protection from what?" asked Colonel Jackson, his weathered face showing barely contained anger. The alien's response held what might have been amusement. "From those who would resist progress. From those who would maintain disorder. From us, should you decline our generous offer." Sarah watched as more ships appeared in the sky outside, their presence a carefully choreographed threat. But something about their arrival caught her attention, a subtle distortion in space-time, a fluctuation her quantum sensors would definitely have detected. She kept her expression neutral as pieces began falling into place. "You have 14 Earth days to prepare for integration," the alien continued. "We will provide specifications for the transfer of your quantum research facilities and military command structures. The hegemony expects full compliance." "And if we refuse?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. The alien made a sound like crystalline wind chimes. "Refuse. None refuse the hegemony. We have maintained order in this galaxy for 50,000 years. Your weapons are primitive, your defenses inadequate, your understanding of quantum mechanics rudimentary. Refusal would be unwise." Sarah stepped forward. "We will need time to discuss this among ourselves." "Of course," the alien said. "Discussion is permitted. Resistance is not. 14 days, Director Chen. We await your submission." The delegation vanished as suddenly as they had appeared. In their place, a small device floated in the air, projecting specifications for Earth's surrender. Sarah walked to the conference table and sat down heavily. The room erupted in overlapping voices: anger, fear, proposals for immediate military action. She raised her hand for silence. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, her mind working through quantum calculations that suddenly made perfect sense. "I need you to listen carefully. What we just saw was impressive, but did anyone notice the temporal distortion when their ships arrived? The quantum signature of their technology." Blank looks met her question. She allowed herself a small smile. "Their entire civilization runs on third-generation quantum mechanics. We cracked fourth generation 6 months ago." She stood, straightening her jacket. "Get me a secure line to the Quantum Development Complex in Antarctica. And someone find Dr. Patel. He's going to want to see the readings I just took of their teleportation system." She paused, looking at the specifications still floating above the table. "The hegemony thinks they're dealing with a primitive civilization about to be integrated into their perfect order. In 14 days, they're going to learn that humanity has a rather different definition of progress." As the council members rushed to carry out her orders, Sarah took one last look at the massive ship above Shanghai. The hegemony had spent 50,000 years imposing order on the galaxy, but they were about to discover that humanity's greatest strength had always been its ability to create chaos from order, to find new paths where others saw only walls. She pulled out her quantum tablet and began making notes. The hegemony wanted Earth's submission. They were about to get humanity's innovation instead. 3 kilometers beneath the Antarctic ice, Director Sarah Chen stood before a window overlooking humanity's greatest secret. The Quantum Development Complex stretched for miles through the artificially heated cavern, its architecture a blend of function and theoretical physics. Streams of quantum-entangled particles traced luminous paths between research stations, their patterns shifting in ways that would have been impossible under classical physics. Dr. Rajesh Patel approached, his usually cheerful face serious as he studied a holographic display of the hegemony's teleportation signature. "You were right, Sarah. Their quantum technology is primitive isn't quite the right word. Brute force, perhaps. They're using massive amounts of energy to accomplish what we do with precision." Sarah nodded, watching a team of scientists calibrate the latest generation of quantum processors. 50,000 years of enforced stability. They found a method that worked and never looked beyond it. "How long until you can replicate their teleportation system?" "Already done." Rajesh grinned. "We improved it too. Their version creates significant temporal distortion. That's what you detected. Ours." He gestured, and suddenly they were standing on the other side of the vast chamber. No flash, no distortion, just an instantaneous transition. Clean, efficient, and virtually undetectable. They reappeared at their original position as Colonel Jackson emerged from a nearby security station. "Director, we've completed our analysis of their fleet deployment. They're positioning for a full planetary containment protocol. The moment we refuse their demands, they'll be ready to strike every major military installation simultaneously." "Let them try," came a new voice. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, head of defensive systems, approached with her own set of holographic displays. "We've had quantum shielding ready for deployment for months. The only reason we kept it under wraps was to avoid detection by long-range sensors. But now..." She manipulated the display, showing simulations of hegemony weapons fire being absorbed and redirected by invisible quantum fields. "We can have every major population center protected within hours." Sarah studied the tactical projections. "They'll detect the shield deployment. We need to make it look like desperation, not preparation." "Colonel, how quickly can you reposition our conventional forces to make it appear we're scrambling for a last-ditch defense?" Jackson smiled grimly. "Already working on it. We're staging equipment failures, communication breakdowns, making it look like our military infrastructure is falling apart under pressure. The hegemony's observers are buying it completely." "Director," Rajesh interjected, "there's something else you need to see." He expanded his holographic display, showing energy readings from the hegemony fleet. Their ship's quantum cores are all synchronized to a central frequency. It's how they maintain control over their entire empire. Every piece of their technology is quantum-locked to their command protocols. Sarah's eyes widened as she understood the implications. They're not just enforcing technological stagnation. They've made it physically impossible for their subject worlds to develop beyond their control. She turned to Elena. Can we break that synchronization? Better, Elena replied. We can hijack it. Fourth-generation quantum mechanics doesn't just ignore their locks. It can rewrite them. Every ship, every weapon, every piece of their technology that they've forced on other worlds. She smiled. It could all be turned against them in an instant. No, Sarah said firmly. We're not going to become what they are. We don't need their technology. We need to show the galaxy there's another way. She walked to a central console and began entering commands. Rajesh, I want you to prepare a targeted quantum pulse. When they come to force our submission, we're going to give them a demonstration instead. She looked around at her team. The hegemony built their empire on control and conformity. But humanity, we thrive on diversity, on pushing boundaries, on finding new solutions. They think they're coming to integrate us into their perfect order. Instead, we're going to show them, and every species they've subjugated, what real progress looks like. What's the plan? Jackson asked. Sarah's fingers flew over the console, bringing up designs she'd been working on since the moment she detected the flaws in the hegemony's quantum signature. They gave us 14 days to prepare our submission. We're going to give them something they haven't seen in 50,000 years instead. The holographic display filled with complex quantum equations and engineering schematics. We're going to give them change. As her team gathered around to study the plans, Sarah felt a fierce pride. The hegemony had spent millennia forcing the galaxy into their image of perfection. But they had never encountered a species that turned limitations into opportunities, that saw rules as guidelines for innovation rather than walls for containment. In 13 days, when the hegemony came to collect Earth's submission, they would instead witness the power of human adaptability. And perhaps in showing them a better way, humanity would not just save itself, but free an entire galaxy from the chains of enforced stagnation. Get everyone, she ordered. Every quantum physicist, every engineer, every unconventional thinker we've got. The hegemony wants to see what humanity can offer. Her smile held the promise of revolution. Let's show them what happens when you try to contain human ingenuity. 10 days into the hegemony's deadline, the quantum development complex hummed with controlled chaos. Teams of scientists and engineers worked around the clock, their efforts orchestrated with quantum-enhanced precision. In the central command hub, Sarah Chen watched as humanity's response to the hegemony's ultimatum took shape. Final testing complete on the quantum resonance array, Dr. Rodriguez reported, her holographic displays showing a web of interconnected energy signatures spanning the globe. We can deploy it within minutes of your order. Sarah nodded, studying the latest simulation results. And the targeting system. Perfect accuracy, Rajesh confirmed from his station. We can isolate their quantum frequency without affecting any natural systems. The moment we activate, every piece of hegemony technology on Earth will experience a localized quantum shift. Colonel Jackson entered the command hub, his uniform showing signs of the countless hours everyone had been working. Defense forces are in position, looking appropriately disorganized and primitive. He smiled grimly. The hegemony's observers are reporting exactly what we want them to see. A planet in disarray, struggling to meet their demands. Sarah turned to a new arrival, Dr. Maya Wong, the lead researcher on quantum consciousness studies. How are our guests? Maya's eyes lit up with excitement, responding beyond our highest expectations. Once we established quantum communication, the exchange of information has been extraordinary. She gestured to her tablet, showing complex data streams. They're ready whenever you are. A warning chime sounded through the complex. Elena looked up from her station. Director, we're detecting new quantum signatures. 3 more hegemony capital ships just arrived in orbit. Right on schedule, Sarah murmured. They're gathering to witness Earth's submission. She straightened her jacket. Time to give them a different kind of show. Everyone to their stations. Initiate Protocol Prometheus. Throughout the complex, teams moved with practiced efficiency. On screens around the command hub, status indicators began shifting from amber to green as systems came online. But unlike the brute force approach of hegemony technology, Earth's systems barely registered on conventional sensors. A symphony of quantum interactions played with subtle precision. Incoming transmission, Elena announced. The hegemony is demanding to speak with you. Sarah took a deep breath. Put them through. The air shimmered, and the familiar metallic form of the hegemony's representative appeared. Director Chen, it said, its mental voice carrying a note of satisfaction. The deadline approaches. Is Earth prepared to submit to integration? Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Actually, we'd like to propose an alternative. We've been studying your quantum technology, and we believe we can offer improvements. The alien surface rippled with what might have been amusement. Improvements. Your civilization barely understands basic quantum mechanics. What could you possibly offer the hegemony? A demonstration, Sarah replied. She nodded to Rajesh, who activated a sequence of commands. Above them, a holographic display showed the hegemony fleet in orbit. You've spent 50,000 years perfecting control. We'd like to show you something different, the power of adaptation. The alien's form stiffened as its sensors detected new energy signatures emerging around the planet. What is this? Your planetary defenses were disabled. Our observers confirmed. Your observers saw what we wanted them to see, Sarah interrupted. Humanity has a long history of appearing primitive while hiding remarkable capabilities. But we're not going to fight you. We're going to help you. She pressed a control on her console, and the quantum resonance array activated. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, throughout the hegemony fleet, quantum cores began shifting frequency, not failing, but transforming. Impossible, the alien whispered, its mental voice shaking. You cannot affect our quantum matrix. The synchronization is absolute. Was absolute, Sarah corrected. Until we discovered fourth-generation quantum mechanics, your technology isn't failing. It's evolving. Right now, every quantum core in your fleet is being upgraded, transformed by protocols we developed by thinking beyond the boundaries you've enforced for 50 millennia. The alien's metallic surface writhed in confusion as reports flooded in from its ships. Systems were coming online with capabilities their engineers had never imagined possible. Power outputs were doubling, tripling, while energy consumption dropped to a fraction of normal levels. But that's not the most important part, Sarah continued. She turned to Maya, who activated another set of controls. New holographic images appeared. Beams of pure energy, their forms shifting in patterns that echoed the quantum fabric of space itself. Allow me to introduce representatives from the Quantum Collective, Sarah said. We discovered them 6 months ago, living in the quantum substrate of reality itself. They've been watching our species and the hegemony for a very long time. They helped us perfect our understanding of quantum mechanics, and now they'd like to help you too. The energy beings pulsed with greeting, their quantum signatures harmonizing with the upgraded hegemony technology in a way that would have been impossible hours earlier. You see, Sarah explained to the stunned alien representative, the universe isn't about control. It's about growth, adaptation, and the endless possibility of change. We're not going to submit to the hegemony. We're going to help transform it. And together with the Quantum Collective, we're going to show the galaxy what real progress looks like. The alien stood silent for a long moment, its surface reflecting the shifting patterns of the energy beings. When it spoke again, its mental voice held something new. Uncertainty, yes, but also wonder. 50,000 years, it said softly. We thought we had achieved perfection. We never imagined. Sarah stepped forward. That's the beauty of the universe. There's always more to imagine. The question is, are you ready to imagine it with us? The news spread across the galaxy at quantum speed. Within hours of Earth's demonstration, reports began flooding in from hegemony-controlled worlds. The quantum upgrade had cascaded through the entire network of synchronized technology, transforming 50,000 years of stagnation into possibility. In the Antarctic complex, Sarah Chen and her team worked tirelessly to manage the transformation. Holographic displays showed thousands of worlds lighting up with new quantum signatures as their technology evolved beyond the hegemony's restrictions. Director Elena called out, her voice tight with excitement. "We're receiving transmissions from at least 300 alien species. They're all reporting successful quantum transitions, and..." She paused, double-checking her readings. Many of them have been secretly developing their own quantum technologies. They were just waiting for a chance to break free. Rajesh laughed from his station. Turns out we weren't the only ones hiding our true capabilities. The hegemony's control wasn't as absolute as they thought. The air shimmered as the hegemony representative materialized again, but this time its metallic form moved with a new fluidity. "Director Chen, the High Council requests your presence. There are matters we must discuss." Sarah exchanged glances with her team. "I assume you can transport me safely now that your quantum systems have been upgraded." Actually, the alien's mental voice held a note of what might have been embarrassment. "We would prefer to use your transportation system. Ours is still adjusting." Minutes later, Sarah found herself in a vast chamber aboard the Hegemony flagship. The walls pulsed with quantum energy patterns that were far more complex than before, reflecting the ongoing transformation of their technology. 12 members of the High Council faced her, their metallic forms shifting between solid and energy states as they adapted to their new capabilities. "You have disrupted 50,000 years of order," one of them stated. "Every system, every protocol, every certainty we maintained has been changed." "We have freed you," Sarah corrected. "Your civilization achieved remarkable things. But then you stopped. You chose control over progress, stability over growth. We've given you the chance to move forward again." Another council member moved forward, its form rippling. "Reports are coming in from across the galaxy. Species we thought primitive, worlds we believed under control. They all had hidden depths. Like humanity, they continued to innovate in secret." "Of course they did," Sarah smiled. "You can't stop progress. You can hide it, suppress it, force it underground, but the drive to improve, to discover, to become more than we are, that's fundamental to all intelligent life." The chamber hummed as quantum energy patterns shifted. The members of the High Council moved in complex formations, communicating in ways their old technology would never have allowed. Finally, the first speaker addressed Sarah again. "The hegemony was founded to prevent chaos, to maintain order across the galaxy. We believe that was the highest purpose any civilization could serve. But now, the aliens' form solidified into something new, a synthesis of matter and energy that would have been impossible days earlier. Now we see that true order comes not from control, but from growth. Not from enforcing stagnation, but from embracing change." Screens appeared around the chamber, showing images from across the galaxy. Worlds where hidden quantum technologies were emerging into the light. Species sharing innovations they had developed in secret over centuries. And everywhere, the presence of the quantum collective, those ancient energy beings who had watched and waited for the right moment to help guide the galaxy's civilizations toward a new understanding of reality itself. "Earth is not unique in its drive to innovate," Sarah said, watching the displays. "We're just the ones who decided to stop hiding, to show that there's a better way than eternal stagnation." She turned to face the council. "The question is, what will you do with this opportunity?" The council members moved again, their patterns suggesting deep discussion. Finally, they spoke in unison. "The age of the hegemony is over. We propose a new organization, the Galactic Coalition for Innovation and Progress, and we ask Earth to help lead it." Sarah felt the weight of the moment, the potential for a true transformation of galactic society, but she also knew the responsibility that came with such power. "We'll help," she said carefully, "but not lead. True progress comes from collaboration, from the sharing of different perspectives and approaches. The coalition should represent all species, all viewpoints, all possibilities. The chamber filled with pulses of quantum energy as the quantum collective manifested around them, their presence a reminder of just how much remained to be discovered in the universe. Besides, Sarah added with a smile, humanity has barely begun to explore our own potential. We have so much more to learn, so many new boundaries to push. She gestured to the displays showing worlds awakening to new possibilities. We all do. 1 year after Earth's quantum revelation, the Antarctic complex had transformed into something its creators could hardly have imagined. Representatives from hundreds of species walked its halls, their forms ranging from physical to energy-based and everything in between. The facility had become the temporary headquarters of the Galactic Coalition, while a more permanent home was under construction in neutral space. Sarah Chen stood at her familiar window, but now the view included quantum-enhanced engineering projects that defied classical physics. Beside her, Dr. Maya Wong was deep in conversation with a being of pure quantum energy, one of their allies from the quantum collective. The integration of biological and quantum consciousness is proceeding faster than we anticipated, Maya reported, her eyes bright with excitement. Species that were once limited to physical forms are learning to shift between states at will. The medical implications alone are revolutionary. And that's just the beginning, Rajesh added, approaching with a holographic display showing data from across the galaxy. Every day, more civilizations are coming forward with technologies they developed in secret. The hegemony suppression actually drove innovation underground, creating thousands of unique approaches to quantum mechanics. Now that we're combining all that knowledge, we're seeing advancement rates that would have been impossible under the old system. Elena finished, joining them. The Coalition's shared research network has already documented over 10,000 breakthroughs in the past month alone. Sarah smiled, remembering the tense days when they first challenged the hegemony. And to think they believed their way was the only path to progress. The air shimmered as several figures materialized. Former members of the Hegemony High Council, their once rigid metallic forms now flowing with quantum energy. They moved with a freedom that would have been unthinkable in their previous state. We were blind, one of them acknowledged, its mental voice carrying complex harmonics of emotion that their old communication systems couldn't have conveyed. We thought we were preserving civilization. Instead, we were limiting it to a tiny fraction of its potential. The coalition model is proving far more effective, another added. When species are free to develop in their own way, to share ideas rather than have them suppressed, its form shifted, demonstrating the very adaptation it was discussing. The results exceed anything we could have predicted. A soft chime announced another arrival. Colonel Jackson, now General Jackson, appeared with several alien military leaders. Their presence was a reminder that not all challenges had vanished with the hegemony's transformation. The transition continues smoothly in most sectors, he reported. A few holdout worlds are still resisting change, but they're finding it difficult to maintain their position when their neighbors are advancing so rapidly. He gestured to a tactical display showing the galaxy. It's hard to cling to outdated technology when everyone around you is evolving. Sarah nodded, studying the display. Across the galaxy, points of light showed worlds embracing the new era of innovation and cooperation. The pattern was spreading, not through force as the hegemony had worked, but through the natural desire of all species to grow and improve. Director Chen, one of the quantum collective beings, pulsed, its pattern suggesting excitement. We have completed our analysis of the dimensional barriers. With the combined knowledge of coalition species, we believe we can begin exploring other realities within the next solar cycle. Other realities? Sarah raised an eyebrow. I thought that was theoretically impossible. Impossible is becoming a rather outdated concept. Rajesh grinned. The mathematical models suggest at least 11 accessible dimensions, each with its own laws of physics. The research possibilities are endless. The room filled with excited discussion as representatives from various species began proposing research approaches and sharing relevant technologies from their own secret development programs. Sarah watched them with satisfaction, seeing the true power of unrestricted innovation at work. "You know," Maya said quietly, "some people worried that releasing all this technology at once would lead to chaos, that different species would compete or fight over the new possibilities. They didn't understand the most important discovery we made," Sarah replied. "It wasn't just about quantum mechanics or new technology. It was about the fundamental nature of progress itself." She gestured to the diverse gathering. "Real advancement doesn't come from control or isolation. It comes from cooperation, from the sharing of different perspectives and approaches." The former Hegemony Council member nodded. 50,000 years of enforced stability, and in 1 year of freedom, we've progressed further than we ever thought possible. Outside the window, a new experiment created patterns of quantum light that danced across the Antarctic sky. Ships of designs that would have been impossible under hegemony rule moved through space with elegant efficiency, and in research centers across the galaxy, countless species worked together, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. "So," Rajesh asked with a smile, "what impossible thing should we tackle next?" Sarah looked at the assembled representatives of the galaxy's species, physical, energy, and everything in between. Each had brought their own unique perspective, their own approach to understanding the universe. Together, they represented not just the triumph of progress over stagnation, but the limitless potential of unified diversity. "Next," she smiled. "Next, we see just how far innovation can take us when we stop trying to control it and start embracing all its possibilities." After all, she gazed out at the quantum lights dancing in the sky. "We're just getting started."